Hi folks, this is the PS5 controller Extreme Durability Test. It's been 5 years since the PS5 has been released, and nobody has done a durability test, so here it is. Before I begin, I would like to point out that even though the product is made in China, it's designed by the Japanese. And if you ask me, I would say that there's a slight difference between the Chinese and the Japanese when it comes to the durability of the products. I will be checking after every test to see if the controller still works. I've connected it to my computer, and you can see the buttons being pressed on the screen for easy follow along. I wasn't expecting the massage gun to do any damage except for maybe the touchpad, but everything held up without a problem just as I expected. There's not much explaining to do for the next test, so I will just be quiet as I unleash the fury on this device. Even after dropping it several times from 4 feet and slamming it on the table multiple times, the controller seemed to have no issues at all. This should be expected from a device, which would experience a multitude of drops in its lifetime. I was expecting this controller to be tough, but not as tough as it turned out to be. It definitely exceeded my expectations. The next test isn't really a durability test, rather just me checking the material quality of the device. The outer layer of the device is made out of soft plastic. Almost seems like rubber when you try to slice it with a precision knife. The thumb pads are made out of rubber, and the screen also has the same rubbery plastic, which can't be peeled off, even with a utility knife. The next test is about how much pressure the buttons on this device can handle. Gaming can be an intense sport, and sometimes in intense moments, gamers can exert huge amounts of pressure on the buttons. I really tried my best to press as hard as I could on these buttons, but even after pushing with all my might, I wasn't able to break any of the buttons. I also tried peeling off the rubber on the screen to reveal the actual touchpad, but little did I know that the touchpad sits beneath the plastic thing, separate from what is visible from above. Scratching the screen had absolutely no impact on the touch capability of the screen. This was my attempt to remove the outer layer of the touchpad. The actual touchpad sits beneath the plastic cover, and I would later find out that the plastic cover is removable. So all this effort is an example of my stupidity. I decided to push down on the buttons one final time. with the intention of breaking the controller. I genuinely thought that I would be able to break the device if I didn't hold back, but I couldn't be more wrong. The device turned out to be much stronger than me. The thumb buttons, which seemed they would easily break upon applying some force, didn't break or get damaged even after I pushed with my body weight. At this point, I was almost getting annoyed by the device, because it just wouldn't break. Before I proceeded to using more advanced tools, I had to do the infamous bend test. After multiple failed attempts of breaking this device, I did not hold back on the bend test. Even pushing down on the screen with my entire body weight, I couldn't do any sort of damage to the device. At this point, I had nothing but praise for the superb build quality of this small, yet solid device. At last, the hammer was able to do some damage. After slamming it several times, the controller finally gave way. I tried reconnecting it, but it wasn't showing up on my computer screen. I always wanted to see how the touchpad looks without the plastic cover, and this was my opportunity to finally peel off the cover. The screen cover, same as the rest of the device, was not going to come off easy. I had to use quite a bit of force to pull it out. Holding it with one hand from one side also made it somewhat difficult. After removing the screen cover, I tried connecting the controller once again, and to my surprise, against all odds, it was back to life. Even though it was alive, the touchpad had lost its functionality, and there were no signs of life in it. At this point, I had had enough. I decided to give the bend test one final go. Despite my best efforts, it was all in vain. And now it's time for the controller to rest in peace, or so I thought. After putting it on fire, I remembered that these devices have lithium-ion batteries, which can explode when exposed to fire. I should have been prepared with a fire extinguisher, and also shouldn't have done it in my living room. I had to cut this experiment short, and the controller, once again, lived. It was still showing up on the computer as connected, but I wasn't going to risk pressing the buttons in the burnt state, so I had to dispose it off. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.